Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thank you for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. I know that you spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I'm so delighted to welcome my special guest, Jana Eggers, to the show. Jana, welcome. I'm so glad you're with me today.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm excited too.
So we're going to dive into a juicy conversation, but I do want to tell our listeners all about you. You know firsthand what it means for a woman to be a leader in technology, because you are now the new president of Nara Logics, a growing artificial intelligence company focused on turning big data into smart data for businesses and consumers, and we're going to unpack that really soon. Nara's staff is also made up of 60% women, which I think is extraordinary. Way to go, Jana. I'm very excited about that. You're also a natural leader who's guided large and small teams, and you've grown revenue from zero to successful acquisitions. You're dynamic and passionate, and you're an innovator with an interesting tech background. CEO of Spreadshirt, senior manager at Intuit plus Lycos, Senior VP of Products Marketing at Blackbaud, and founder of SureCruise.com. In fact, you were leading in the net space in '98 before most people even heard of it. So, Jana, welcome to the show, and thank you again for being with me.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, so you just started this great new journey at Nara Logics this month. So tell me, how's it going?
It's been terrific. I can't tell you how inclusive the team is here. It's fun. The role I left before was about a 2,800 person company, and I've come back to a 20 person company. So that's always exciting when everybody in the room, you know their names and you know what they're working on, and there's a lot of energy around NARA with the artificial intelligence, and of course we're right here next to MIT, so all of these angles coming together means a lot of interest and excitement.
Oh, I bet. So I'm particularly impressed that your staff is made up of 60% women. That's extraordinary and rare for a technology company. So what's the secret?
Well, I think it's, I've been through this a lot because I've been in tech my entire career and was actually a research scientist out at Los Alamos in my early days. And of course, that was not very many women. And I think that, when you really focus on something and it's important to you, it comes out. And Tom Copeman, who's our founder, he's always been he has 2 daughters. I think that has an impact on it. Right. And definitely always someone who's looking for female talent. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something that's important to him. And so it's easy to kind of say, well, we can't find them, so we won't get them. I mean, honestly, I've been told that before. I've been told, well, I hope you're not disappointed, but we looked for female leadership, but we couldn't find any. And it kind of makes me wonder, well, did you really look, or did you just throw out your normal? Yeah, did you throw out your normal nets and you didn't get them? Because we all search and look for things in different ways, and it's proven that men and women act in different ways, and neither of them are right or wrong.
Right, but they're different.
They're just different, exactly. So I think that I would probably say if I had to choose one thing from my experience with Tom, it's really the fact that it's one of those things that he thinks in different ways because it is something that's important to him.
Got it. So, Jana, tell me, though, I'd love to back up a little bit because you've been in the tech field for a good long time and you've made great strides. Tell us, how did you get started in technology? Were you exposed to that back in high school or college? I mean, how did that path start for you?
Oh,
there's a story coming. I can feel it.
I know. I didn't know any better.
Okay.
It's probably a little bit of it. I was very lucky in the sense that math always came easy for me.
Okay.
When I looked at it, it was exciting. It was fun. So I got energy from it. Mm-hmm. And my whole family was accountants. And my guess is that had something to do with the fact that I was comfortable with numbers.
Sure.
I was sent to school to become an accountant, and I didn't have the courage to tell my parents until my junior year in college that I wasn't going to be an accountant, but I was going to be a mathematician.
Yeah. So there you go. That was a good story at Thanksgiving, right?
Exactly. And my dad was like, I kind of feel like you should be taking more accounting classes to become an accountant. I was like, well, there's this strange thing. So that's really how it started, is when I went to college, I just got energy from the math geeks. And it was a lot of fun. And I was at a small private school in Arkansas. And I was at a college that really pushed us to go outside. So I was doing National Science Foundation research my sophomore year.
Brilliant.
And that really helped a lot too. I think that, maybe if I had gone to a bigger university, I would have been more lost in school there, versus having that great experience of being exposed to very different areas. So that's what started my research career in the sciences. So to me, it felt very natural, I guess, is what I would say. It was a very easy thing for me to go into, in the sense of it felt right.
That's
and
great.
the only hard part for me was, breaking it to my family that I wasn't going to be an accountant.
Well, I'm sure they're proud, Jana. I'm sure they're proud now, right? You have proven your value.
They got very excited when I got accepted and requested to go to Los Alamos. And
I would say so.
Yeah, when I got that credibility, everything was good. And since then, and they're wonderfully supportive. So they've had a lot of fun.
Well, what I love is hearing you say that it gave you energy hanging out with the math geeks, and for all the women and men who are listening, that energy is crucial, right? You need to listen to yourself and figure out what your strengths are based on what energizes you. So you got it right away. Bravo. Bravo. So, Jana, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think that one of the things I loved about math is no one really knew the right answers. Whereas accounting, it's like there's one right answer. In math, it was like, well, it could be that, but there could be an imaginary number that you slip in there, right?
There you go. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have all of this stuff where things aren't always as they seem. And that was a place that was fun for me, because it was a different way of looking for things. So I think that I know a lot of women. I actually studied math anxiety, particularly in women, for my senior thesis.
Oh, wow.
And I think that women, we so often want to be right and not be wrong, and in a different way than men. I mean, I think probably as humans we like that, but I think women are more, they doubt themselves more, and they think, well, I must not know it. And therefore, it's me that's deficient. And for me, math is just such a great field that you get to go into and research what right and wrong is. And right and wrong even changes all the time.
Well, I love it. And you can still hear that enthusiasm in your voice. I mean, it's just infectious. So thank you for that. That's extraordinary. It's palpable. Good stuff. So, Jana, I want to ask you, you believe, and I agree with you, that women are really making the workplace better. And from your vantage point, you say, especially in technology. Tell me more about that.
I think, again, that diversity of opinion, it's probably why I like math so much, is because there's so many ways that it would teach you to look at things. And more women coming in, I've seen it, because I've been in the companies that are all and that's fun too. I'm lucky that I'm very comfortable in that environment as well. But what I've seen as more women have come in, it's that, diversity is what makes the world go round, right? So when you have that all male environment or an all female environment, you're limiting things. So it's great now, is with more women coming in, you do get these, like we have the 60-40 ratio, or even a 50-50, or, 60-40 the other way. You're still getting that strong, diverse element of different ways people approach the problem.
Beautifully put. So you have a unique theory about failure, right? And you talk about why failure is proof that you're innovating. So tell me more. I love this. I can't wait to hear your take on this.
Well, it's, Edison was always said, I now, people have said, oh, you know how to do a light bulb. And he's like, well, I know 1,700 ways not to make a light bulb. And I was proud of that, right? Because
Yeah.
each of those different ways teach you something else about how it works.
Yeah.
And how different properties work in different ways. So that's the great thing about failure is so many people count that as, oh, I didn't succeed. And it's like, well, actually you did succeed. You succeeded in learning something about the problem you're trying to solve.
I love
And
that. You're giving us permission to fail, right? And say, take the risk because look what you're going to develop and learn from that.
right, and it's all, one of my other favorite things while I say that to people is, and failure is impossible, by the way. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is, we can't fail. We pick our mission and we say we're going to be successful, but you're going to have these hurdles along the way.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that's not your ultimate failure. None of those are going to kill you, right? They're going to
Yeah.
be the ones that you're going to learn from, and you're going to learn how not to do something. Great. What did you learn from that? Let's make sure we don't repeat that again. Now let's
Hmm.
take the next step forward.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. You're failing forward, right? How do you do it differently the next time?
And,
Wonderful.
and that's the key is make sure you have those retrospectives. It's like,
Exactly.
don't, people spend time beating themselves up. I'm like, man, back up,
Yeah.
figure out, well, what happened? Why did this failure happen? It's probably because you did perfectly fine perfectly fine planning,
Yeah.
and something happened you didn't expect.
Right, right. Life happens. Absolutely. Speaking of life, let's talk about work-life balance. And actually, I hate that term balance because I think it's just unrealistic. But I know you and I share something in common in that we don't have kids, yet we probably both still struggle and have to manage our own work-life balance or work-life integration. So what's your secret?
Well, it was a joke at Intuit that I would give talks on work-life balance. Everybody's like, you have no balance. And I said, look, I love work. I am so fortunate that it's just fun for me. And so, yeah, I may be here longer hours, but I'm very choosy about what I work on
Mm,
in that extra time. And so I've had bosses, I've had board members say, well, why did you do this instead of that? And I said, well, when other people go and do their singing class or they go and take their kids to the baseball game or everything, okay, that's my taking my kids to the baseball game.
yeah, yeah.
And so I'm very clear on, I really, we talked about it earlier and I'll hit on it again. I'm very clear on what gives me energy and I
Yeah.
make sure I get enough of that.
That's fantastic. I love it. And thank you so much too for validating those like me who love the work, right? It's not work, it's not toil. I love it, right? And I choose to spend my time there. So I can absolutely relate to that. However, you do talk about the importance of personal time, and I know you are an athlete. In fact, you've done Ironman competitions, so well done. Tell us about that. What do you love to do in your personal time?
Cook and then I do triathlon. So
There you go. So then you cook and then you work it out.
exactly. But both of them make you focus.
Yeah.
I don't like to cook the same thing twice because I'm always trying to find new ways of combining this or a new technique or something like that. So I like cooking in the sense of it has to be complicated enough to make me pay attention.
Oh,
Just like
nice.
Iron Man, you can't do one without paying attention.
Oh, right, right. It's dangerous if you're not paying attention. Exactly.
Exactly.
So is it hard to find time to be training and, participating in the competitions, or do you carve that out and make that time?
You have to carve it out and make the time. But yeah, there's certainly times, I was growing a company when I did my first one. And there were times that, I would go running at midnight and,
Yeah.
you make the trade-offs. I couldn't go cycling because that was much more dangerous,
Right.
but, you can get the running in. So you have to plan ahead a bit and say, okay, well, I can go cycling on this day at this time, but if something comes up, okay, I'll drop that and run that evening.
There you go. Got to have options. Got to have options. So, Jana, you're a top executive, and certainly the phrase "it can be lonely at the top" can ring true. Does it for you? Have you ever been, caught between that I'm it, right? I'm the president. The buck stops with me.
Absolutely. People always said, "Oh, you're the CEO, so you can do whatever you want." And I said, "No, that means that I have 6 or 8 bosses."
Yeah, yeah. Called the board.
Exactly. It's called the board, and by the way, they all want different things all
Yeah.
the time, which is why you want them, right? You
Right,
want a
right.
diverse board that has those 8 different voices. But it does mean that all of their priorities get filtered to you, and you need to serve that as well as lead the company. And I'd say, you're oftentimes caught in the middle there. And I think, the importance there is having mentors. I call them my pressure valves.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
So people that I can really, and a lot of people think I need one mentor. Well, most of the time, actually, I'd say you need 5 or 6 mentors, and they're for specific things.
I agree.
And I feel very fortunate that I've been able, I have someone that I have a lot of faith and confidence in on the sales side, and I have someone that I know is a great executive leader, and I have someone who's an incredible technology person. And so wherever I'm feeling that pressure, I can call that person and talk to them about it. It's HR sometimes too. So I look at, I'm very big, and I know I've seen a good amount of your work, and I know you are also a promoter of people finding mentors.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I love what you're describing is something that I call my personal board of directors, right? Individuals who can help me with specific things. So I'm really gratified to hear that you do that as well. Do you also, Jana, serve as a mentor to others? Do you pay it forward? Is that something that you can make time for?
I've got 3 calls tonight just doing that.
In between the Ironman training and
I'm going till 9 o'clock tonight, starting from 7 to 9. I have 3 calls, just exactly in that area.
That's nice.
So it's fun. It's all 3 of them are with entrepreneurs.
Wonderful.
So
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, and I think great leaders become extraordinary leaders by virtue of how they help others. So it's great for them, but it's also good for you, right? It keeps you sharp. It keeps your competitive edge, and it helps you as well. So good for you. Good for you. So let's hear a little more about Nara Logics. I love the tagline, right? Focused on turning big data into smart data. So tell us a little bit about what Nara Logics does.
So we are an artificial intelligence company that is founded in neuroscience. And the quick version of that is, I'm sure you've had this happen. You walk into a place and you recognize it and you're thinking, how do I know this? How do I know this? And your brain starts filtering through that, and all of a sudden you remember what the pathway is that made you remember that place. That's how, we're actually modeling in the computer the same way your brain does that when you recognize something. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's really amazing because I worked in artificial intelligence a little bit when I was out at Los Alamos.
Yeah.
And we were mainly using mathematical models, statistical methods. That's how it was work. And now we're actually using things like, okay, how do we store information the same way our brain does? And then when there's a stimulus, like I walked into a place, how do we then light that same path up the same way our brain would?
Fascinating. Wow.
It is.
So a different realm for you. This is definitely a different world. Are you enjoying it?
I love it. I mean, for me, this is what science is all about. So I'm biased because I'm a mathematician, right? I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But as a mathematician, everything goes down to that. Physics is built on top of mathematics.
Right.
Chemistry built on top, in my opinion.
I know. Well, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, it's applying my background in another field, and I get to learn about that. I mean, the ability. I'm working with the world's top neuroscientist, which is so stimulating and exciting to me.
I bet.
What these guys know is it blows my mind. So it's so exciting to me to kind of say, oh, okay, if it's this, well, does that make sense, looking at it this way? And there's so much that you can relate when you know the fundamentals of science. And that's what I'm excited about. So they were very nice. And as they were recruiting me, at one point, one of the leaders said, I think we need you more than you need us. And I said, that's so funny, because I had just written down, and I mean, in that same meeting when he said that, I had just written down in my book, figure out the need equation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking that my next step, I needed to go to a place that I needed. And
Yeah.
I needed to have a big, challenging problem like this to learn. So learning neuroscience is very exciting to me. And I get to do it while applying, my background in technology.
Right.
So,
Well, it just sounds so intellectually stimulating. You found your sweet spot, right? So you can use your mathematical expertise and now combine it with all of this new and exciting stuff, and your colleagues just sound extraordinary.
it is, and it's exciting. And then taking that and applying it to business, this is something you don't normally think of. Okay, so now we're modeling how the brain stores information and how the brain thinks. So where is that useful? Well, brains are useful for making decisions, for example. Brains are useful for coming up with options, so making recommendations. So those recommendations can be anything from, e-commerce. It can be in the travel side. It could be in the how do I choose subcontractors side. There's lots of places where, we can use computers that can store a whole lot more data than our brain, but use them in a way that thinks like us. And that's exactly what we're working on.
Yeah, the applications are just limitless.
Exactly.
Wow. Oh, that's so exciting. Well, I love hearing the energy in your voice. I can tell you are in a great place. So, Jana, as we wrap up and close, I'd love to get your advice for young women, and by that I mean high school age girls and perhaps college women who are just discovering their strengths, right? You found your math strength early on. What would you encourage them to do to perhaps try something new and different so they can fall into or find a path in technology? Because I think sometimes women just don't know what they don't know, right? So what's your advice to those young women as they consider careers?
I agree. People, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't do enough trying. You said they should try something. What I'd say is so many people don't try enough. And I would really encourage that, in the summer, see if you can work it out to get 2 summer jobs, right? In 2 different places, and work both of them half time if there's a couple of areas of interest. If you get one, but you want to dabble in another, go and volunteer, say, hey, can I come and help you? And, a couple of nights a week and learn some about how you market this technology side. Don't be afraid. I had a friend once who was a remarkable person. He was just incredible. And he told me, we were at a company together. He said, I think I have to leave because this was a bigger company. He said, I think I have to leave because, I can't really get a break. He was in product management. I can't really get a break in marketing. And I said, what are you talking about? You're going to get, if you think you have to leave and go to a startup when there isn't world-class marketing in that startup because they can't afford it, and you're here at a company that has world-class marketing, go volunteer. I said, get your butt over to that marketing team.
Good for you. Good for you.
And volunteer, right? And say, hey, listen, can I be part of this project? I'm willing to carry the boxes, right? I don't care. I just want to learn from you guys because you're amazing. And so I think people limit themselves by that because they would say, well, I'm not a world-class marketer, so therefore I can't help a world-class marketing team. And that's crazy. So, look around. You don't have to be the expert to participate. You just have to be willing, and you have to work hard.
Excellent advice. You are an on-the-side career coach as well, my dear, so bravo. I think that's spot on, and I absolutely applaud all of your ideas. Jana, what a joy to have you on. I wish you great success in this wonderful new role as president of Nara Logics, and I hope our professional paths cross in person someday soon.
I look forward to that.
Well, you take good care. Thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with me today.
Thank you as well.
And I want to thank all of you for tuning into Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is really possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.